I'm James Sykes, CEO of Energy Corp. We have two exciting projects, one being Ontario's first lithium brine project, and we're excited to get drilling that in December. And we've also got our high-grade nickel project in the Thompson Nickel Belt, Manibridge. Very exciting projects, and I'm here to talk about those with our host, Mr. Matthew Gordon.
I still can't get used to that. How are you, James? You
I'm
good?
great, yes.
Yeah, good. Now, you've been in town a few days with the typical British rainy, grey weather. Yeah. So well done for putting up with that one. You're here, why?
I'm here for the Northern Miners Canadian Mining Symposium.
Right, how's that going over there?
It's been good, yes. Great companies, great speakers, attendance as well, good reception. I gave a talk yesterday. It was very well received. Met some new people. Yeah, can't complain.
That's what we want. It's actually quite a good conference. It does attract some really good speakers, I was going to say, so we quite like that. You've also, we'll deal with this first, actually, nothing to do with metals energy. You've just announced that you're raising some money on one of your other projects. Give us a quick rundown there, please.
Yeah. Baseload just raised $10.6 million.
Right.
Very happy to have that in the bank, and we'll be putting that to good use next year, 2024. You can expect a lot of drilling out of Baseload Energy.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll come back. So I just wanted to make that announcement because we haven't had Baseload on for a while. Right. So metals energy, two projects, nickel, lithium. Okay. Last time we spoke, and I think you spoke to Marilyn after me, we're going to park the nickel up for now, focus on the lithium. Source Rock is the new acquisition. You haven't yet got around to the drilling to kind of prove out the concept yet, though, have you?
Correct. No, it's been a little bit of a game of patience. We acquired the project in late June, and to get everything running by September 1st was a little bit of a push, especially since we were waiting on some geophysical compilations to better understand the area. But we have, in our permits, we have an exclusion period from September 1st to November 30th. So again, to avoid trying to rush things through and not do things right, to get drilling by September 1st, it was a little bit of a chaotic step. So we figured we'd take our time. Yeah. Let's do things right. Let's do it step by step, figure out everything that we need, plan it all out. And then by December 1st, we'll have all the equipment mobilizing on site and we'll start our drill program then.
There's also a little bit of whatever companies do at the moment, no one cares. There's a bit of that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you got to, when you've, let's say what you are going to be doing. What do you want to do when you do the drilling? Is it just confirmatory drilling? Is it proof of concept? What are we doing?
It's proof of concept drilling.
Right.
So it's a little bit different than what I'm personally used to because it's not just geology anymore. We're actually after the water. So we will do typical core drilling. We'll do all of the standard geological logging. We'll take our rock samples, but we've got a second part of the program in that we're looking specifically for the water. So we'll do packer testing, we'll do flow rate testing, we'll do the entire length of the drill hole.
Right.
So lining up all that equipment and finding the right people to run that added to the time, yes.
Right, okay. So what gave you, I know we spoke about it back in February and also in July, but what makes you think that lithium brine on Ontario is going to work? I mean, physically working is one thing. It's a kind of new thing for Canada and Ontario. So what's giving you the confidence?
Quite a number of things. Like it's not just, yes, it is Ontario's first lithium brine and this is new to them, but it's not new to Canada. So there are some lithium brine operations in Alberta that are kind of paving the way for, Canadian non-hard rock lithium exploration. Yes, E3 is one of them. So that really paves the way moving forward. Globally, there's been a lot of DLE work, direct lithium extraction work that's been proven successful. There's 4 companies in the last 2 months that I've seen with positive results from DLE. So we know globally that this whole brine concept is working.
Brine concept with DLE applied is working.
Yes.
Because that's a new thing. Because it's highly technical, never been done before. Lots of proofs of concepts needed to be done. And I think E3 going through a pilot phase of that at the moment. Standard, obviously, doing their own thing as well. So that gave you the confidence to say, well, maybe this could work here too. Okay. And what's Canada doing and what's Ontario doing in terms of helping companies like yours, given this whole kind of green help that is being issued by the government?
Nothing yet,
right.
But we feel confident that should our thesis prove successful, that all the help will be there.
Right.
And that was one of the meetings I had yesterday.
Okay.
I met with one of the trade ambassadors from Canada to England, or from Ontario to England.
Right.
And we had a very good long talk, and they're well aware of the project, and they can see how there could be some mutual synergies if our thesis is correct.
Right.
There's a lot of grant incentives through Canada as well, especially OJEP, Ontario Junior Exploration Funding. So we're applying for that, and I feel confident we'll get that because it is an innovative project, specifically for Ontario. So I do see that right now, aside from OJEP, there's not a lot going on that the government can really help with. But down the road, I think if we're successful, I think we want to build a pilot project. I believe that there will be government assistance and the support will be there. Canada is very bullish on critical minerals. Ontario is extremely bullish. Yeah. Ontario has provided funding for 3 different lithium projects to advance their pilot scale processing plants. So we know that they're true to their word to a point. It's government. But it's no, the funding opportunities are there. Their eyes are open. They understand what's at stake, not just in Canada, but globally, and how Canada can be one of the largest lithium importers. Obviously, we want Canada's name to be up there.
Yeah. Okay. So the help is then, and we've heard the same thing from lots of companies in terms of the grants, incentives, tax credits, etc. As the companies kind of move through the phases, and you're quite close, a little bit south to you, a big sort of car manufacturing area, which probably be looking to companies like you to advance.
Exactly.
So let's talk about what you're going to do, because there's not a lot of money in the kitty, right? So you got to be careful and efficient with the capital that you do spend. So talk us through exactly what you mean when you talk about this kind of confirmatory or proof of concept drilling. It sounds quite detailed. So there's not going to be a lot of meters necessarily, but what you do is going to be quite dense with data. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. Yes. So explain exactly what you're after, what you're trying to prove.
Okay. So basically we've got 500 meters, let's just round it off to 500 meters of sedimentary rock that hosts all of the salty brines. Mm-hmm. I think that's a double word. That has all the brines. Yeah. So our objective is to drill down through that sedimentary sequence and sample as we go. Mm-hmm. Sample at different depths. So every 10 meters or so, we'll be taking water samples. So we'll have packer tests, seal off the entire area in the drill hole, and so we get water percolating only in through certain areas and then collect that water sample. So basically we'll have a lot of water samples throughout 500 meters. There's a little bit of a technical issue in the area that we'll start drilling, and that's based on historic drilling from 2006, where the lower 50 part of that sedimentary sequence, which is where all the salt beds were, is highly saline brine that is under pressure. So it was artesian waters. And because they were highly saline, there's a lot of density to that. So as they were artesian coming up, they were pushing the drill rods up. So the drillers had to go down with calcium chloride, which is heavier than salt, heavier than sodium chloride, and drill down that way. A little bit of a technical issue. So we know where that horizon is.
Right.
And we're going to do the first drill hole in 2 phases. We're going to drill down safely before we hit that lowermost zone. We'll stop. We'll do all of our packer testing there to avoid any artesian waters. Once we have all of that information confirmed, then we'll drill down into the deeper sedimentary sequence. If there's artesian waters there, we'll deal with them. If we can collect water samples from there, great. If we can't, then at least we've done everything above that. Am I expecting a lot from the lowermost sequence? Not really, to be honest. Like, that's where we're seeing the salt beds. That's where we're seeing probably the saltiest formation. Based on the reports, there's a lot of salty waters uphole as well, but the saltiest waters are the ones below. But they all seem to be sodium chloride, so table salt.
Yeah.
And sodium chloride and lithium don't really go well. There's almost an inverse relationship between the two. So if you've got a lot of sodium chloride, you won't have lithium. That's not to say you won't have lithium in the area, just in that immediate horizon, just sodium chloride is the dominant. So again, if we don't get meaningful results from the lowermost sequence, it's all right. We're looking for everything on top.
Okay. So tell me this. Okay, it's a case of the kind of so what component here. So what are you looking for? Because it's kind of you've got some historic data, right? Which is a good reference point, and you sort of know perhaps a little bit about some of the horizons you're going to come up against. What will good look like for you? Because if you think about some of the other, we've mentioned E3 there. I think the main accusation thrown at them is, it's pretty low grade stuff. However, they're going through the process of trying to prove out with, I guess, their up and coming PFS that don't worry about it. Our extraction process is so efficient that it doesn't matter. Okay, but for you guys, what other data outside? What other parallels? I think you're talking in your deck about parallel with one of the salars down in is it Chile?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So tell us about that. What are you expecting to find?
We are expecting to find lithium brine. We know there's lithium in the rocks, especially again in that upper sequence. Historically they sampled about 200 meters. No, it was 80 meters at 200 ppm lithium approximately. So we know that there's lithium in the sedimentary rocks, and if the fluids over the billions of years have interacted with those rocks, then the potential for scavenging the lithium from there exists.
Okay.
So that's why we do believe that there is lithium within the whole system. We'd be looking for concentrations anywhere between 100, 200, or even more milligrams per liter. Greater than 200 milligrams per liter is the goal.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, that remains to be seen, obviously. The comparison with the Salar de Atacama, it's basically more about size potential.
Right.
So if you look at our Source Rock project, which is 900 square kilometers, so it's not a small project at all. Basically, the size of our project is the same size as the Salar de Atacama's central salt belt. So if we're successful, and we do have lithium brine, then we've got a project that is equivalent in size to the second largest lithium producer in the world.
Right. So
it could be of global significance, and that's the whole push behind it.
Okay, so people shouldn't judge you on, well, you're setting yourselves a goal of 200 ppm would be good news.
Oh, it'd be huge.
But if it's 100-ish, that's fine too.
That's fine too, exactly.
As long as you demonstrate that scale. Yeah. And then, because obviously I always say this to people about lithium, it's a very sort of technical metal in the sense that if you want to extract it efficiently and make margin, which is the name of the game, etc., you got to have the people who know what the hell they're doing there, obviously. But in the early stages for you guys, what's the thinking for actually proving up this scale? Because I think you've got a little bit of money. You're going to do this whole and say, okay, we think this has been a success. We'll probably go to market, raise some capital, and we'll drill a lot more of similar types of holes. Is it as simple as that?
Pretty well.
Right. Okay. And I guess you got to hope and that the market is actually doing something as well here. So all of this activity is happening pre-Christmas, and you'd be evaluating it for sometime in the new year. Right. Okay.
Yep. So one drill hole pre-Christmas, a lot of detail involved in that. By the time we get the water assays back, sometime in January.
Right.
And after that, we'll plan and we'll pivot and assess and move from there.
Is it kind of fairly binary for you at the moment? Is it binary in the sense that, what are you, sub $5 million company? You got enough cash to do this hole. We're just talking lithium today. Okay, obviously nickel's over here. It's like some good grades, but it's kind of like the market doesn't care at the moment. So I think you've quite rightly and probably bravely parked that up for now. But there's some value to that.
Oh, absolutely.
At the point where nickel starts getting people's attention again, I think you achieve more value for that. But okay, sub $5 million company. If this hole doesn't work, if the grade isn't there, what do you do?
Well, that's a very good question. There's a lot of potential with the sodium as well.
Right.
Especially when I've been reading about Koreans and the Chinese now looking at developing sodium batteries.
Yeah. With
the high concentrations of sodium that we do believe exists in those fluids, I would honestly think they're about 20% sodium, just based on the the rate at which the salt forms on the core is almost instantaneous.
Right.
I've seen that in the lake in Saskatchewan. We've got the eighth saltiest lake in Saskatchewan. It's like you go in there, you float on it. It's like the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
You come out and you start having salt form on your body and your hair everywhere. Yeah. So seeing that on the rocks as well means it's super salty. It has to be 20%. We don't know the purity of it though. But the idea again, if there's no lithium in the system, what else is there? That's why we're doing a lot of testing. Is there bromine? Is there potassium? Is there sodium? We'll do the full assessment. Seeing the potential of direct lithium extraction, DLE, you can tailor that. You can tailor it to be direct potassium extraction, direct sodium extraction.
Right.
So there's potential for getting high purity end member elements as well.
Right. Okay. Because right now it's going to set up for like a lithium ion. Right. Go for that.
Yeah.
We'll pull that out, and so you'd be so we're a ways away. You're a ways away from that. But I hear you saying there's technologies you could license and trial, etc. It's the equivalent of a MET test for you guys, right? Okay. I understood. Back on so we will wait to hear what happens pre-Christmas on that, okay? On the nickel side of things, it is parked up for now, but it does have some value. Like I say, you get some great grades, and there's a lot of potential there when the market's right.
Yeah.
Because again, that's going to require money, and people have got to know what the hell you're going to do with this thing. You're part of a bigger group, obviously, of companies, and you guys seem capable of raising capital when you need to raise capital. Seriously, it's lithium, it's nickel. The de-risking component is there, but it's kind of like in a market like this, it's hard to call. It's hard to say, well, what's valuable, what we should do. Hunkering down is an okay strategy in moments like this. Seen a lot of companies coming in and saying, well, sorry, Matt, we're not doing anything. Clearly you can do that. You're busy with other stuff as well.
Yeah, but hunkering down is not our strategy.
Okay.
It doesn't do justice for our shareholders. So just as with Manibridge, how we got no love for great results, we looked for a different project, but we didn't want to find a project that had no meaning to us and something outside the box. I think that's one of the things that we do at Ore Group, and I think we do it rather well, is we look for outside the box type of projects.
Mm.
So if Source Rock doesn't pan out and Manibridge doesn't move forward, then we'll go back into that. We won't stay inactive. We'll continue looking for another exciting project that we think would have merit and of interest.
Right.
I've had my eye on copper for quite a while too. So copper could fit nicely within the metal energy scheme as well.
Okay. Yeah, well, absolutely. And it doesn't always knock it out of the park first time. I mean, point people to Azure, the Aussie company. They're Mexican silver, didn't work out. Aussie nickel, didn't work out. Aussie lithium, $1 billion company from 5. It was, you got to kind of move and be agile in that, so nothing wrong with that. Well, James, stay in touch, man. Good luck with the drilling. We'll be looking out for that for sure, and obviously good luck with base load as well.
Thanks.
It was nice to see that money. You raised it relatively easy. What did you go for? 7?
Yeah, we went for 7.
9.6.
Yeah.
Was it 10.6? 10.6. Nice.
Upsized to 9 million, and then oversubscribed 10.6. So can't complain about that.
Can't complain.
No.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Cheers.